Good evening. Welcome to those of you who are gathered here in the Alvarez College Union in the C. Shaw Smith 900 room for our 12th annual Nisbet Venture Fund pitch competition. My name is Liz Brigham. I am the W. Spencer Mitchum Executive Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the Hurt Hub at Davidson College. At the Hurt Hub, we provide access and exposure to innovation and entrepreneurship for all. We believe that innovation is born out of our core values of freedom, integrity, and inclusion. And what you will see here tonight brings all of our vision and values to life. The Nisbet Venture Fund was established in 2014 through generous support from Marion Nisbet and Chip and Danny Nisbet, and Marion is here tonight with us. Without their support and the support of all of our donors and members of our community, we would not be able to provide the faces of innovation with the support that they need to be successful in generating new ideas, developing new innovation, and bringing their businesses to life. And I'd like to start tonight by recognizing and applauding all of our student and young alumni finalists gathered here. So all the students and young alum finalists, you stand up and be recognized, please. In addition to the countless hours of independent and extracurricular work the students have put into their ventures, the 10 teams pitching tonight have spent 6 weeks taking educational classes, meeting with their mentors, and practicing their pitches to get prepared for this evening. I'd like to share some fun stats about tonight's cohort, which is truly exceptional. We have one of the most diverse sets of businesses across industry verticals that we've ever had. We are truly embracing the liberal arts. We have teams representing the life sciences, fashion, food and beverage, education, AI and technology, medical devices, and beyond. And this year's finalists have also had incredible traction through existing revenue streams and building those up, expanding their customer base and users. Some have provisional patents already. They've leveraged partnerships for scalability in their business, and they have prototypes that are ready to be manufactured. I'd like to also recognize our mentors. So if you have been a mentor, whether you are a dedicated mentor or a speed mentor, could you please stand as well? Anyone in the audience? Thank you so much. We have had 12 dedicated mentors and 10 mentors who joined us for speed mentoring a couple weeks ago. And I know countless friends and family members who have helped every one of these finalists get to their peak performance tonight. Our mentors include Davidson alums, members of the Greater Charlotte startup ecosystem, mentors who are part of Launch CLT, and of course, our Hurt Hub co-working members. Thank you for giving your time and energy and expertise to our finalists this evening and beyond. And I see Rebecca right here in the second row here. So thank you. Please, Rebecca, stand up and be recognized. Rebecca has been our cohort instructor. Not just this year, but for the past several years, Anne teaches our flagship Building a Lean Startup course and has for the last going on almost 8 years now, both in the fall and the spring. She has spent countless hours across educational programming, one-on-one coaching sessions, and really has been a pillar of our educational programming, as well as a huge advocate for us in everything that we do. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I want to thank as well our Hurt Hub leadership team. So the leadership team, could you please stand and be recognized? And tonight is a wonderful passing of the torch from Amy Quilala, who has run the Nisbet Venture Fund for the past several years, to Charles Smith, who's here, who is now heading up all of our student entrepreneurial programming. So let's not make it hard on Charles tonight for his first go. Without the leadership team, none of this is possible. They have spent the past year and many, many years on the team, coaching these students, getting them ready, connecting them to mentors, giving them new ideas. And we truly are your advocates for each of the finalists that are presenting tonight and those who have been part of our programming for the past year. I want to also thank our student interns and our photographer, Henry, who will be roaming around tonight, Davidson College staff, and the Rigid AV team. Thank you all so much for your production this evening. I want to briefly introduce our judging panels. So our first panel that's already up here at the table will be judging our incubation track. We have Eric Fender from Truist, Juan Garcon from Innovate Charlotte, and Lindsay McClellan, who is her own fractional CMO and formerly of Little Sleepies. And our second panel of judges who will score the acceleration track. It includes Francis Allen, a retired CEO of Checkers and Rallies, Christina Wilson, who is the CEO of Mood House, amongst other beauty brands. And unfortunately, Dr. Shantae Williams could not make it tonight, but filling in very graciously at the last moment is Andy Wheeler, who himself is a very accomplished entrepreneur and has started and sold many businesses. So thank you for all of our judges. And finally, to all the finalists, I know some of you are all in the back room, but so I'll look around here. But I want to leave you with a few words to get kicked off. In his now famous 2005 commencement address at Kenyon College, David Foster Wallace shares a parable of 3 fish. He says, one day there were 2 young fish who were swimming in the sea, and they happened upon an older fish. And that older fish turned to them and said, "How's the water today, boys?" And the younger fish looked at him a little quizzically and said, "Nothing," kept swimming on, and a couple minutes later they said, "What the heck is water?" Wallace goes on to share that the point of this fish story is that merely the most obvious and important realities are often the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. And I would argue that most people just pass them by, like these fish, and never stop to ask why, or what's going on outside of their more self-centered purview. But that is exactly what each of you all has done. Every single finalist for the past several weeks, months, and for many of you, years. You have embraced a social awareness which impels to action. You have made keen observations about the water that you swim in, and you have chosen to ask why something is that way. What could be better about this water? And most importantly, how you can make it better. Tonight is just one action that you have taken towards leadership and service in your community. And regardless of who gets funding and who's crowned the winner and has the big Publishers Clearinghouse check at the end of the night tonight, you have taken action that very few people ever do. You haven't settled for swimming in the water that you took for granted. You got curious. You talked to people. You tried stuff. You experimented. I am so proud of each and every one of you. I will always be the mama bear, as will the rest of the leadership team. We are here not just for you tonight, but for wherever you go swimming tomorrow and beyond. And now it is my pleasure to turn it over to Andrew Asher, Davidson class of 2019, one of the first founders to graduate from the Hurt Hub program. He's the CEO and founder of Lucid Bots, and also I have the distinct pleasure of having him on our leadership team as a current alumni, innovator, and residence. Andrew will take you through tonight's agenda with, I'm sure, all sorts of mirth and merriment. Andrew, come this way.
There will be a lot of mirth to be had tonight. I want to start off by actually focusing on that word because there's a lot of joy I have in getting to MC this event. Because about 8 years ago, I took this stage. So I can tell you firsthand the impact this competition can have not only on your company, but also your life. Tonight, you're going to hear from 10 total teams that are pitching on one of 2 tracks. First, we'll hear 4-minute pitches from the incubation track, and these companies are pitching for a $5,000 cash prize. There won't be a live Q&A for this segment, but they will receive written feedback from our judges. These ventures were at an earlier stage of development at the time of application, and each one of them showed a lot of promise, so we're excited to hear from them. Next, we'll see pitches from the acceleration track, who are competing for a $25,000 equity investment. They'll have 7 minutes to pitch their ventures, followed by 3 minutes of Q&A from our thoughtful judges. These ventures each demonstrated very meaningful traction at the time of application, and some had even raised over $5,000. Once all the teams present, we'll go ahead and take about a 30-minute break to allow the judges time to deliberate. And during this time, we invite you all to grab a refreshment, but more importantly, get to know the finalists. Ask them your burning questions, share your big ideas. But you've heard enough from me so far, so we're going to go ahead and hand it over to the incubation teams. And first up is Kari Madeos with Jakari Lightsey.
Good evening, everyone. I want you to take a look down at your shoes. Now ask yourself, do they reflect your story? I'm actually wearing an example of that right now, and many of you may say no to that question, and it's not your fault. But the truth is that a lot of people don't even know where to go to get something like this done. And that gap, that disconnect, that's where I come in. My name is Jakari Lightsey. I am a student athlete and shoe customizer with 6 years worth of experience. I was a top 100 of 1,000 global artists in Stephen Curry's shoe design competition, and I've already generated over $4,000 in revenue from custom shoe paid commissions. Now let's talk about this market. The footwear customization market isn't a niche, it is a movement. This market is already over $800 million and growing. But most of this market is online mass customization, meaning customers get to, pick the colors, they can add a little text. But what I do is different. It's real deal customization. From a blank canvas, I create one-of-one custom footwear, and that drives higher value. And I know this because I've created multiple paid commissions, including work for MTV radio personality Sway Calloway, who has over 1.1 million followers. And Sway told me, Kari, you made these shoes so good, I don't even know if I can wear them. I think I need a sequel. That's what it means to create something that people can not only connect with truly, but also are willing to pay for. Now let's talk about the problem. When you go into a shoe store, you're limited to whatever shoe designs you see on that shelf. And for most people, especially those in fashion, that's not enough. Because what you wear is how you express your identity. It affects how you show up. It affects how you feel. It affects how you're seen. And fashion-forward individuals want to be different. They want to stand out. But the problem is that they don't have enough access to truly access individualized fashion. And that's where Kari Madeos come in. Through Kari Madeos, I create one-of-one custom footwear designed around each client's story, turning their identity into wearable art that you can't go find in a shoe store. So whether it's a wedding or whether it's a personal milestone, each shoe is uniquely designed for the individual who's wearing it. Now, the use of funds. To grow Kari Madeos, the biggest need right now is consistent visibility to match the quality of my work. The execution is there. I just need more eyes. One approach is purchasing shoe inventory. Each shoe is about $120. It'll cost me about $120. I'll customize and gift them to influencers and athletes to expose my work to their audience. In the midst of that collaboration, we create content on social media. Once that content does well, I can invest in paid advertisement to amplify it even beyond their audience. Last but not least, I can pay fees to become a vendor at fashion events to display my work in front of real deal audiences. Now, if you realize, not only does the shoe then become a product, but it then becomes a marketing asset that increases awareness. And what that does will drive paid commissions. And with that, I can duplicate and double the output that I did last year. Now let's talk about the future growth and scalability. In the future, I can grow Kari Madeos through paid experiences like kicking sips and paid workshops where people can pay to learn how to customize shoes. Brand partnerships. I can scale and license my design onto products. An example of what this can look like is this design that I made for our president, President Doug Hicks. Last but not least, a creative studio, which will be a team of artists where we can create higher volumes of orders together. Now, in the beginning, I asked you to look at your shoes, and I asked if they reflected your story. Kari made those exist so that answer can finally be yes. Because the right pair of shoes don't just complete an outfit. It tells the world your story without you having to say a word. Thank you.
Alrighty, next up we've got Andrew Cashy with Leap Water.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I get to talk about something that I think is pretty exciting. Welcome to Leap Water. So, everyone loves lemon water. Nobody loves making it. You gotta run to the store, buy lemons, bring them home, slice them, hope they don't go bad, and then repeat. That creates friction, and friction kills habits. There's no surprise that lemon water is delicious. It's wonderful, it's hydrating, it improves your immune system, it's got vitamin C and antioxidants and everything you need. And the market reflects this. The flavored water market alone was $28 billion last year, and that's growing at 8% every single year. Now, it's driven heavily by consumer wellness tailwinds. We're seeing consumers year over year decisively choosing to spend more and more on products that are good, clean, healthy, and make you feel good. The only problem is there's a gap in the market. All of our competitors include artificial flavors, single-use plastics, things that are not good for you and that we aim to eliminate. Leap Water is the only still canned lemon water that exists in the market today. Now, if you look at our competitors, you see long ingredient lists, you see artificial flavors, you see single-use plastics, and you see natural flavors. Now, natural flavors, Andrew, natural flavors are good. Wrong. Natural flavors can be up to 100 different chemical compounds. That doesn't sound so natural to me. And this is why we built Leap Water. Because you guessed it, we have two things: lemons and water. Makes sense, right? Uncompromising quality, and it actually results in better taste. So we've got water from the mountains of Western North Carolina, that's where I call home, and lemons from California, from local growers, organic, high quality. And it's all married and put together at Arcadia Beverage Co-Packer in Arden, North Carolina, just down the road. So our target universe is simple. We're looking at affluent customers who are already maybe adding lemon to their water on a daily basis or spending on high-quality alternatives today. And the great news about lemon water is it already has a massive following. So our universe expands drastically to everyone who's health conscious, who reads what's on the label of what they're drinking, of what they're consuming, and they care about feeling good on a daily basis. Now, our margins are tight as a result of our first funding round. But the good news is, with this first round of funding, we get 1,500 cans packaged, produced, and out the door at Arcadia Beverage. That means cans in the hands of consumers, being tasted, being tested, and being sold, most importantly. That also comes with a commercial formulation. Now, even better news, we scale wonderfully. So jumping from 6.7% gross margin to nearly 38%. And that is what drives growth. So this isn't just some run-of-the-mill product that we stumbled upon. This is a result of lasting and gradual momentum. We've got a go-to-market strategy. We've got a live website. We've got a live Instagram. And maybe, perhaps most importantly, we have 200 verified customers ready and waiting to purchase, try, and taste our product. Now, the beverage market is drowning in complexity. All we need is a first round of funding to get our package out the door and into the hands of consumers. Let's take a leap today. Thank you.
Next up, we've got Zanab Sawani and Yurda Yolchu with Dunya.
Hello everyone, we're the co-founders of Dunya. Meet Yurda. Last summer, Yurda solo traveled across Europe all by herself. She felt unsafe, lonely, and confused due to language barriers.
Meet Zainab. Her childhood dream is to travel the world, experience different cultures, until she saw the danger of traveling alone. Now she hesitates.
There's so many young women out there just like us. In 2025 alone, the female solo travel market was worth a whopping $300 billion with a 15% annual growth rate. Women often cite personal safety, loneliness, and feeling lost as barriers to entry. There's nothing out there to solve this very, very real problem. Well, nothing until Dunya. Dunya is an app designed for female and gender minority travelers, in which we connect you with other female and gender minority travelers and locals. Beyond just connecting, we match you on your niches and hobbies. For example, my roommate wants to go to London just for the Doctor Who museum and walking tour. Through Dunya, she can find a companion who is also a Doctor Who enthusiast and have a more meaningful journey. Another unique feature of Dunya is that we recognize women-owned and women-verified businesses, and through our physical app and logos, you can see places which are safe havens for women. So walking alone, you can see places where you can go at uncertain times at night. Who is Dunya for? As mentioned, Dunya is for female and gender minority college students. Why college students alone? Because we'll be using the EUD emails, as it is an internationally recognized and trusted system. Around 80% of Davidsonians travel or study abroad during their time here, a statistic that mirrors across campuses around the US, showing that demand is very real.
Yes, there are other platforms out there, but Dunya is the only one with verified identity, goal-based matching, and safe haven network. So we don't just compete. We fill a gap no one else has touched. And Dunya runs on a freemium model. Free users get basic filters, limited matches with ads. With $8 a month, premium unlocks unlimited matches, advanced filters, and goes completely ad-free. So it's basic. We let women freely see the world. And the ones who travel the most will upgrade. Dunya's profit model is coming from 4 streams. First, premium subscriptions, and second is business certifications for Dunya verified places. Third, ads, and fourth, university study abroad bundles. Like, these are the bundles where universities can get discount rates for bulk purchases. And our marketing strategy is coming from 3 channels. First, campus ambassadors. These are for local communication from different campuses. Second, study abroad offices. And third is student influencers to use the power of the social media. Yeah, this is how we're gonna use our funds. 40% goes to building the app. 30% goes to marketing and launching in different campuses. And the rest goes to study abroad partnerships and operations. In 18 months, we're gonna pilot test with Davidson's international engagement, Dean Rusk, and study abroad office. And then we build, we test, and we launch premium in different campuses. So, why we are called Dunya? Dunya means the world in both of our native languages, Turkish and Urdu.
Growing up, we would watch airplanes in the sky and wish to explore the world, our Dunya.
This app is for every girl who still makes that wish.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Please welcome to the stage Dong Juan with Aqualux.
Perfect. All right. It's a beautiful summer day. I'm done with all my work. You know what? I'm gonna jump in my pool right now. Oh, never mind. Ew, that's disgusting. Still gross. Now that's a pool I could dive headfirst into. Behind every enjoyable pool experience, there's hours spent on maintaining a delicate chemical balance so that your pool water is safe, balanced, and comfortable to swim in. This involves dealing with dangerous chemicals, pouring them in, looking at these two huge charts, punching numbers into a calculator, finding the exact dosage that your pool requires, and then pouring them carefully in without splashing them all over the place. Pool chemistry, it's a chore and it's a hazard. You're dealing with dangerous chemicals, time-consuming processes, and they are easily sensitive to weather. 4,500 ER visits every year happen due to pool chemistry-related accidents. 70% of pool owners think pool care is too complicated, and improper pool care can cause permanent damage to your pool equipment. Despite this, residential pools still rely on manual care. According to surveys by the largest pool companies in the United States, there are 8.8 million residential pools. 65% of them are still under-automated with only a simple on and off switch. $1.3 billion are spent annually on chemistry-related products to maintain that chemical balance. This is where Aqualux steps in. Aqualux is a floating pool robot that deals with the chemistry for you, so you don't have to deal with the risks. Here's how it works. You purchase our device, you load in our leak-safe chemical cartridges, and then you turn it on. You connect it with our app via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and then once you drop it in your pool, it will start dosing the exact dose of chemicals needed for your pool to be perfectly balanced. It will then report back to you within 20 minutes that it's safe for you to swim in. The app receives data on your current chemical levels either from a pool sensor you may own that can be synced via smart home systems, or it's a manual input from a test strip. It will then do all the calculations and do all the formulas for you based on your pool configurations. So, how do we compare with our existing solutions? Well, first we have pool services that do all the work for you for a high price tag. Not a lot of people want to pay that. Then we've got installed auto dispensers installed directly into the plumbing or the pump. They do the dosing, the calculations for you, but you still have to manually handle them to refill them and calibrate them. Then we have manual dosing, the option that 70% of pool owners choose, the cheapest option. You have full control over everything, but that leaves a lot of room for mistakes, and those mistakes are what lead to the 4,500 ER visits. Aqualux, for a slight premium than the manual dosing option, automates dosing and calculation through our mobile app and eliminates chemical risks through our cartridge. We're going to take the $5,000 and develop our minimum viable product to improve the exterior hull, the power source, the cartridge system, and the dispensing mechanism. Then we can move on to our testing phase to prove that our model works, and then we can refine our final design for a Kickstarter campaign. Once we hit market, our final revenue model will consist of an initial hardware sale and recurring revenue through a cartridge subscription. My name is DJ. I have 4 years of personal experience managing my own pool chemistry. I'm a huge passionate person on robotics and home automation experiences. Mr. Marco, he's an expert in high reliable safety equipment for motorsports. He knows how to make a product rigorously safe for the market. We're also planning on onboarding an engineer and a legal advisor as we prepare for our Kickstarter campaign. So, join us in reinventing pool care, because the hardest part of pool season should be choosing which float you're going to dive in with. Thank you very much.
Next up is Isaiah Sapand with Youniform.
Famous sports athlete Deion Sanders once said, "If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good." This saying has been backed by a psychological study called enclosed cognition. If you don't feel comfortable looking the part, you can't be the part. My name is Isaiah Sapand, and as a Division I football player here at Davidson, I know how important it is to look good and feel good on game day. Survey data shows 96% of athletes care about their image, and 64% report added stress from their appearance. This is because in today's world of sports, athletes are getting paid on social media from their likes, their followers, and their image. But as my friend Kamar says, looking good isn't easy, especially in the sport of football where there are so many accessories, it can be overwhelming to think of how to style yourself. The main problem is athletes today are experiencing decision paralysis because there's not an easy way to preview and purchase the looks that they desire. To solve this issue, I created Youniform, a platform that helps athletes plan, visualize, and lock in their game day look before stepping into the locker room. Now, with my Try It fund that I received from the Hurt Hub, I hired an offshore developer to create our 2D prototype, which consists of all accessories, skin tones, and body types for athletes to create an avatar that resembles themselves. This is our soon-to-be 3D avatar model, which will make visualizing yourself be even easier. The second feature of our app is our shop, where athletes can preview real gear from real brands directly on their avatars, and if they like the way it looks, they can purchase through our shop straight to their doorstep. This allows athletes to get the exact look that they want for game day. Now, let's talk market size and target audience. In the United States today, there are currently 1.2 million total high school and college football players. Our strategy to reach this audience is to partner with the top college and high school athletes. And we currently have 10 Division I athletes from different schools committed to our beta testing. Now, we have two forms of revenue. Our freemium model, which consists of the 2D avatar customization and the online shop. Or you can upgrade to our $5 monthly subscription to receive the full 3D avatar customization experience. Our second form of revenue is through affiliate marketing, where through brand partnerships, we earn commission on each purchase made within the shop. Now, further market research. The global sportswear accessory industry is projected to hit $125 billion by 2035. The US alone continues to grow at a 3.6% annual growth rate. Now, our comparable competition. TikTok Shop has a 2D AI-generated avatar feature, but it's only for lifestyle, not for sports accessories. Walmart Z-Kit allows users to choose between 4 different models, but they won't exactly represent you. There is currently no platform that connects visualization, styling, and purchasing in sports all from your phone. Our next steps are to hire a 3D architect to create our full 3D avatar experience. We'll secondly look to partner with local brands, businesses to be implemented within our shop feature. Next, we look to start building our models for other sports to help all athletes. Now, I know I've talked a lot about football, but I'm more than that. Off the field, I have experience in international consulting, and I started my own media company. And I'm a young entrepreneur on the rise, and now, with my network and following, I have the ability to solve this problem. So, it's up to you, the judges, to recognize the untapped potential of the sportswear industry. Let's score together, get lined up with Youniform, and let's do this. Thank you.
For our final venture on the incubation track, we have Eli Lacey with Align Stabilization.
Good evening. My name is Eli Lacey, and I'm the founder of Align, a modern patella tracking knee sleeve built for an outdated industry. My journey started when I was 14, when a painful sensation shot through my kneecap. That sensation was known as a knee subluxation, when the kneecap momentarily pops out of alignment before returning back into position. I was later diagnosed with patella tracking disorder, and since that moment, I've had over 30 combined knee subluxations across both knees. As it turns out, I wasn't the only one dealing with this problem. Patellofemoral pain syndrome, a condition caused by poor alignment, affects 50 to 70 million Americans. Chances are some of you in this room have this condition, 30% of which are adolescent athletes. And despite this growing number of patella tracking issues, the current patella tracking knee sleeve industry has simply not kept up. When I was first prescribed the patella tracking brace by my doctor, it was effective at keeping my knee in place, but it was bulky, it limited my movement, and it did not look good. I found that all these factors were due to two main problems. The first is neoprene, a fabric found in virtually all patella tracking knee sleeves, and the second are these external Velcro straps that are supposed to tighten the sleeve, but add to the pre-existing bulk. So I surveyed people online and in person, and all the responses backed up my experience. People said it was bulky, that it often slid down, didn't have enough compression, with some people disliking it so much that they had to cover it up. This showed me that modern patella tracking knee sleeves are built for the patient and not the athlete. And so that's when I created a line. From the beginning, I knew it had to revolve around three main pillars. The first, it had to be effective. It had to keep the kneecap in place. I plan on doing this by incorporating a foam J-pad, which current patella tracking sleeves already use. The second is mobility. By ditching neoprene and replacing it with a durable compression knit, a line will allow for maximum range of motion. On top of that, Align plans to do something that no knee sleeve, patella tracking or not, has ever done before. Instead of these external Velcro straps, Align plans to embed these straps inside the fabric with an external tab to adjust and tighten, kind of like a drawstring. And the last pillar is aesthetic. By combining this durable compression knit along with the internal stabilization system, Align will have the look of athletic performance wear with the support of a medical grade device. And so after doing some more research on the patella tracking knee sleeve industry, I found that it was valued at $1.2 billion in 2035. With a 5.5 expected growth rate, projected to reach 1.9 billion in 2033. And on top of that, all the people that need patella tracking sleeves can be divided into three main categories. The first is people that need it and don't have it. This accounts for 7 to 17 million Americans. The second is people that have it and don't like it. This was the category that I was in, and it represents 1 to 6 million Americans. And the last is people that have it and like it. This is 2 to 6 million Americans. Align sees the most opportunity in targeting these first two. As for the budget, $2,300 will go to prototype development. This is from a company called Simple Stitches that will give me a viable prototype by the end of the summer. Then clinic outreach, this is educational materials, anything that builds clinic trust in Align. And then legal costs, such as patent and LLCs, and then branding. And as for the business strategy, the first 3 months are the most important. And that's why I plan to build a community of people with my same problems to improve and implement their feedback into the design. After that, I plan to go to clinics and athletic trainers to get a more professional opinion to make the design even better. And this all leads to the ultimate goal of selling directly to consumers through an online website. And so you might be wondering, why me? And that's a great question. And it's one that I had with myself a lot in the beginning of this journey. But one thing I realized is I had a vision backed up by my own and countless others' experiences of a problem with inadequate solutions. And so I wanted to end in the words of Plato, and that is, necessity is the mother of invention. My 30 knee subluxations were my necessity, and Align is my invention. Thank you very much.
All righty, can we get another hand for all those on the incubation track? We're going to take a short 10-minute break, but we're actually going to stay in this room, and please hear me out on these instructions. We're going to practice what a lot of entrepreneurs have to do, which is we're going to meet strangers. We're going to get a little bit comfortable being uncomfortable. So I want you all in just a moment to stand, introduce yourself to your neighbors, and tell them what's the company that resonated the most with you. And if you had a chance to ask a finalist any one question, what would you want to ask and why? We'll be back in 10 minutes for the next round of ventures. If everyone could please make their way back to their seats, we'll get started here in just a moment. Okay, I hope everyone had great conversations, and I promise there's going to be an opportunity later in the evening to talk even more. We're now going to get started with our pitches for the acceleration track. And first up, we'd like to welcome Sarah Todd Hammer with Sarah Todd Style.
Every morning, you wake up and you get dressed. You're probably not even thinking about it. It's just something you do at the start of your day. But for disabled people like myself, getting dressed is difficult, if not impossible, and it is the greatest frustration of our day. And it's how we start our day, so it sets the tone for how our day goes. Next slide. When I was 8 years old, I became paralyzed from the neck down, out of nowhere, and I thankfully regained the ability to walk. But my remaining paralysis in my arms and hands has made it very difficult for me to get dressed without assistance. My mom, who was in the fashion industry since I was a baby, was of course mortified that I had to wear pajamas to school because they were the only thing that I could wear without needing help. If I saw buttons and zippers on any pieces of clothing when I was shopping, or if there were any inaccessible features to me, I got used to putting the clothing back on the rack and realizing that it was not for me. Next slide. I was forced to choose accessibility over style or sacrifice my independence. Next slide. There are some clothing brands attempting to resolve this problem, like Tommy Hilfiger, Anthropologie, and Kohl's as examples. On this slide, you can see a pair of Tommy Hilfiger adaptive pants that have magnets and Velcro instead of buttons and zippers. But these pants don't work for me and many other disabled individuals because the Velcro is impossible to do when you have limited hand movement and dexterity. This Anthropologie adaptive friendly top in the middle is impossible for many people like me to do as well because it has buttons down the front and I'm unable to do buttons. This Kohl's adaptive dress has Velcro at the shoulders, but Velcro, like I just mentioned, is impossible to do when you have limited hand movement and dexterity, making all of these pieces inaccessible to many disabled individuals like myself. Next slide. There are brands that are also attempting to be stylish and accessible, but they end up compromising on aesthetics for the sake of accessibility. So these examples on the left are more geared toward elderly individuals, and they may feature very good, easy dressing features, but they're compromising on the aesthetics. Then the examples on the right we have are from Tommy Hilfiger website. There's just not enough options out there. So while Tommy Hilfiger is making adaptive clothing, if you go to their website and you go to women's and you go to adaptive, there are only about 100 options. If you go to just regular women's clothing on the Tommy website, there are about 900 options. So there's 9 times the amount of options for non-disabled people versus disabled people. These brands also refer to their clothing as adaptive, which sets it apart from mainstream clothing. And accessibility benefits everybody. And so as long as clothing's being labeled adaptive, it's not gonna make it into the mainstream market. Next slide. So if you can't dress yourself independently, you may have to hire and pay a caregiver. You may not live up to societal expectations of presentability because professional clothing is even more difficult to put on. You may also have difficulty retaining or securing a job because of that. You may also have to get clothing altered, as I am very used to doing myself. So there's a lot of negative financial impacts on disabled individuals. Next slide. There's a huge opportunity here Despite what many people may think, the disabled population is the largest minority group in the world. About 10% of the world population is made up of disabled people. And there's a really large market for this. The adaptive clothing market is booming. It's expected to be worth about $30 billion over the next 8 years. Next slide. So what's the solution to this problem? The solution is Todd Style, my clothing brand. Todd Style clothing will never feature buttons or zippers. There will be easy closures. So this cardigan that I'm wearing right now is a Todd Style piece. It has magnets instead of buttons or zippers, so I can just easily put it on by myself. And I don't have to ask for help. And it doesn't compromise on aesthetics, and it also achieves accessibility at the same time. Our clothing will also have soft and stretchy fabric. So the examples on the screen that I'm wearing, very soft, stretchy, elastic waistband, easy to put on. The ties on that top are also sewn down, so you don't have to tie them. We will also not be labeled as adaptive because we understand that that sets us apart in a negative way by creating a separate but equal mentality rather than mainstreaming this clothing into the mainstream market. Next slide. So my business model will work on a direct-to-consumer model. So I will have a website, saratoddstyle.com. I have already purchased the domain and started building the website through Shopify. So that will be my first distribution channel. And I have experience with my parents who've had this clothing business since I was a baby online. I have worked with them, so I have experience with supply chain and understanding marketing. And then my second distribution channel will be through social media. I have a collective following of over 450,000 people across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and I have over 100 million views on my YouTube channel. And I've even had some of my followers already ask me if I've started a clothing brand or considered starting a clothing brand because I talk about fashion a lot on my channel. Next slide. If I receive funding through the Nisbet Venture Fund, I will use the funds firstly for production of the garments. I will then use the funds for shipping and duties to get those garments to the United States. And I will lastly use the funding for marketing for my brand. Next slide. By investing in me, you help me create a world where inclusion is always in style. Thank you.
So, Sarah, great presentation.
Thank you.
Your core customer, describe again how you're going to identify the needs, how many people with those needs you're actually going to be able to target.
Mm-hmm. So the disabled market, like I said, the largest minority group in the world. So obviously within that market there are varying disabilities, so that can range from people with ADHD to people like me with mobility disabilities. And so I will be targeting firstly people with limited mobility, especially in their upper extremities, so arms and hands. So like for me, I can't move my left hand at all and I have very limited movement in my right hand. I'm very unique in that way, but there are a lot of people who can't move their hands at all, or maybe who are an amputee, don't have a hand, don't have either of their hands. So I'll be focusing more on individuals with disabilities like that at first. But like I said, since accessibility benefits everyone, the hope is for in the future to expand and really get people to understand that, for one thing, anybody can become disabled at any moment and need clothing like this, but that also anybody can do magnets if they can do buttons.
Hello? Okay, it's working. All right. I think it's incredibly empowering, and so commend you for that.
Thank
How
you.
many different SKUs or pieces are you thinking for your initial inventory?
Mm-hmm. So initial inventory, I'm going to have one collection. So I'm wearing a skirt from the collection and then cardigan from the collection. There will be 7 pieces. So we're going to have this magnetic cardigan. We're going to have a pullover sweater. Then we're going to have this skirt, top with ties, and shorts and a dress, or 2 dresses. So we're starting with a relatively small collection. These are all kind of like spring, summer pieces.
I really understand the point about the labeling and your philosophy around it makes complete sense. And I'm also just curious about the marketing challenge of making sure you find the people who need it most. You know, what's your kind of big picture strategy on how they know at a glance that it is for them?
Right, so I think having my social media will be very helpful for that because most of my followers have a disability and they share their stories with me in the comments a lot. So I think really honing in on that distribution channel will be extremely helpful for that. And then I also want to brand my clothing as accessible and inclusive because I think those words apply more broadly, but they also are very specific to the disability community, whereas adaptive is kind of just disability only in my opinion. So I want to hone in on those two words, accessible and inclusive, and my social media following especially. Thank you so much.
Next up, we've got Leah Chaudhry, Arya Modi, Casey O'Keefe, Jeanette Ilyasova, Calvert Ross, and Chef Maria Kemp with Dermalytics.
Hi, everybody. My name's Casey.
I'm Jeanette.
I'm Cal.
And I'm Leah.
And we're Dermalytics. We're creating rapid test strips for Pseudomonas aeruginosa, a deadly pathogen that kills 600,000 people each year globally and infects millions domestically. We're taking a novel approach to technology that has already been used to create rapid strips for things like COVID and strep.
So let's give you a little background. Pseudomonas aeruginosa is a gram-negative opportunistic pathogen found on surfaces from tables to ventilator tubes. It is responsible for infections such as UTIs, pneumonias, and wound infections, and it is considered a high-priority pathogen by the World Health Organization primarily because it is responsible for 7% of healthcare-associated infections worldwide. In hospitalized patients, it can have up to a 28% mortality rate and causes an average of 24 additional days spent in hospital. So why is Pseudomonas so difficult to treat? Well, primarily it comes down to the infection detection time. In current culture methods, take between 16 to 24 hours to have results, and given Pseudomonas' doubling time of 60 minutes, that means the infection becomes exponentially harder to treat while you're waiting for results. Consider this. Imagine you were in debt to your bank $10, and it was doubling every hour. After a day, you're in debt to your bank $167 million. Now, if you caught it after just 1 hour, you're only in debt $20. And this is the kind of pattern we see with patients who are infected with Pseudomonas. If the doctor is able to guess correctly initially, we see a 50% reduction in mortality rate and a 40% reduction in total days hospitalized.
The reason we can detect this infection in 20 minutes is because we are not interested in the bacteria itself. We are focusing on a biochemical footprint, a sugar that is excreted by Pseudomonas aeruginosa that is usually not found in human body. This new approach allows us to adapt lateral flow assay tests, which are already used to detect COVID-19, strep, influenza, and HIV. Specifically for flu, these rapid tests have lowered the mortality rate by 40% for patients who have received initial proper treatment. These rapid tests would allow less than 1 doubling time from sampling to treatment. We have also moved from theoretical to preliminary data. Our infection detection range has been determined to be from 1 to 100 nanograms per milliliters, which is considered very early for this infection. To put this onto scale, we are up to 10 times more sensitive compared to COVID-19 tests with our current lab standards. And if you have ever taken a COVID test before, you already know how this works. You get the sample either from sputum or from the wound if it's a wound infection and apply it on the sample pad. It travels through the test line, and if there's any of the sugar that we are detecting as present in the sample, it will show a visible test line indicating a positive result. To protect this new and innovative approach of detecting an infection based on a sugar in a rapid test, we have submitted our provisional patent.
So let's talk timeline. We're using what is called a fail-fast startup model. This means that we're trying to increase the confidence in our product by as much as possible while spending as little money as possible. In light of this, as Jeanette has said, we've completed feasibility testing, making sure we can detect what we're trying to detect, and we are currently in the final stages of cross-reactivity testing, making sure nothing else in the human body will interfere with our test in any way. Moving forward, and what we need the Nisbet funding to do, is model patient sample testing and then real patient sample testing to see if we can detect this in real patients and help save real lives. This is an itemized bill of how exactly the money will be spent in each category. It is important to note because as we're Davidson students working in Davidson labs, we're able to do this for a drastically reduced price when compared to other people.
So once we're successful in our research and development, this is how we see it fitting into the clinical landscape. We will follow a similar blueprint that rapid strep tests used. If you've ever gone into an urgent care clinic or a hospital and done a strep test, what's really going on behind the scenes is doing both a rapid test and a culture test. Because rapid strep tests have such a high specificity, if there's a positive result, clinicians can be extremely confident that you do indeed have strep. So if there is a positive result, they start you on the right antibiotics immediately, but there still is the culture going on in the background. Based on our initial testing, we think our test could have a similarly high specificity, and so we would follow a similar blueprint. We would not replace the current culture tests. Our test would be run in parallel to them, so that a positive test could mean that patients are started on anti-Pseudomonas antibiotics immediately without having to wait for the culture, but the culture is still there as a safeguard in case of false negatives. And we have been in talks with local scientists and clinicians at places like UNC Health and Duke Medicine, and they have confirmed that this is something that would be very helpful in the clinical setting. For the market for a product like this, each year in the United States, there's about 3 million Pseudomonas cultures taken. If our test is run alongside each and every one of these at $15 per strip, that represents a total addressable domestic market for us of $45 million per year. And the unit economics of a product like this are pretty interesting. We think at an early scale, we can make these for about $5 per strip because of the relative simplicity of the manufacturing process, and sell them to hospitals for about $15, which is in line with industry standards. This represents an initial gross margin of 66% that only increases as our scale increases. Now, we do know that we can't take the whole market at once. That's why we use a land and expand strategy with our first target submarket being Pseudomonas-related ventilator-associated pneumonia. This is because it is the place where we think we can have both the biggest impact and where our tests will work the best. Every year in the United States, about 100,000 people contract or there are about 100,000 cases of Pseudomonas-related ventilator-associated pneumonia, and in these cases, there's a high mortality rate, and it can be very costly to the patient, both in the form of extended hospital stays as well as tens of thousands of dollars in medical bills. So this is the place we think an early detection would have the biggest impact and where we will validate our tests.
A little bit about the Dermalytics advantage. I want you to imagine that you, your son, or your daughter contracted this infection and all of a sudden they were hospitalized. Now the doctors can either roll the dice and wait 24 hours or 20 minutes to get the results back on this test. The answer is clear, and that's exactly what we're doing here at Dermalytics. We're ensuring faster detection that leads to better outcomes. However, we're not doing this alone. Here is our incredible team, from the science to the business people, from the internal members to our external partners. In addition to those people on stage, we're joined by two of our founding members, Arya Modi and Maria Kemp, as well as our wonderful scientific advisor, Dr. Nicole Snyder. Again, we're Dermalytics, and we're ensuring infection to detection in minutes. Thank you.
Can you expand a little bit on the conversations you've had with, regional healthcare? I know they said very helpful, but with limited time, what more can you add to that?
Yeah, definitely. So we spoke to a doctor scientist at Duke Medicine who specifically deals with ventilated pediatric patients. And she said that something like this could be extremely helpful because from the time to exacerbation to when they can know what's causing it, like said, it can often be in excess of 16 to 24 hours. And an early detection like this would allow them to start the patient on the correct antibiotics immediately, which would be extremely beneficial for patient outcomes.
Who's the buyer? Who's the buyer at the hospital that will make this decision, and how will you reach them?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Who's the buyer of this product at the hospital, and how will you reach them?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It works differently in every hospital, I imagine, but I think our value proposition sort of speaks for itself. In high-risk patients, detecting it early, within 20 minutes or 30 minutes, rather than 16 to 24 hours, can save tens of thousands of dollars in downstream costs. And so to have that for just a test that costs, on the magnitude of tens of dollars, I think anyone would be happy to have that.
Have you looked into the FDA requirements for this type of dye?
Yeah, so if we have looked, we have done a huge amount of research into the FDA requirements for a strep like this. It is not like a full, if you're imagining something like a tablet that you take or a medication, it is an FDA device, which is a type 2 thing. Products like this usually take between around $3 million to bring to market. But that doesn't mean that this money is useless. This money allows us to to go to a point where we are able to ask these big institutional investors for money to bring it closer to market. This is the most impactful $25,000 we will ever have.
Also, our mentor, Keys, has brought a lot of this type of diagnostics tool, but also many tools with FDA requirements, and has done a lot of work and willing to help us with that process as well.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. Please welcome to the stage Joe Scoff with Melo.
Hello, Davidson College. I am Joe Scoff. I am a teacher, and I am here to make teachers' lives easier. Imagine this. You all are first grade teachers. Congratulations. You show up on your first day, and things are looking great. You spent the entire summer working on your curriculum. Your kids are fresh as daisies, ready to go. And then 3 months go by, and it's complete chaos, right? People are throwing things, someone's screaming, they're rubbing their boogers all over each other, and you are feeling completely alone. You are the only adult in that room filled with 30 dysregulated kids. This leads to real teacher burnout, day after day. But what if it didn't have to be like that? Imagine that same classroom, but now with Melo. Melo creates space for children to feel calm and to practice focus as a daily routine using audio-based exercises. If you're a teacher, you go to our web-based platform and you click on whatever social emotional learning skill you want to practice. You then are introduced to a pathway toward building that skill over time, and it's easy to set up and easy to use. This market is a $4 billion market, the social emotional learning market, and it's growing by 20% every single year. Our SOM is roughly $300,000 within the first 3 years. So, Melo is unique because our meditations fit perfectly and align perfectly with a teacher's already really tough and packed curriculum. Our competitors like Headspace or Calm, they use screens to teach Calm, which is odd because that's part of the very problem itself, overstimulation. They also are generic and they don't actually fit into a teacher's schedule. It's not like they know what teachers want. We, on the other hand, interviewed teachers because I am a teacher and I know what teachers want. Other competitors include Calm Classroom, who they do have a structure and a curriculum to teach these skills like focus and calm, but they just take too long for teachers to learn. It's almost like learning a whole other job. You don't have that kind of time if you're a teacher. You just want to teach your curriculum. So our business model is school licensing. $1,500 for a small school and $4,000 for a larger school. We're going to start with a white glove product. We're going to go into schools and we're going to lead these meditations directly with teachers in their morning meetings, transition times, and after school. We're then going to leverage that for school licensing from our web-based platform. So it's plug and play. Teachers can use it whenever they want to, which will lead to district licensing. Our beachhead customer is a principal at a private or Montessori school who doesn't have to consult a board of directors to buy a curriculum and try it out for themselves. And the great thing is, we're already existing in the world right now. Our weekly podcast has 11,000 listens. We are in over 60 countries with 50 total meditations. And in the past 6 months, we have been in 10 classrooms operating with 130 students, iterating the whole time. I've treated my classroom and the classrooms of the other teachers at my school as a laboratory to build these audio-based meditations. We've also partnered with Yodo, which is a like-minded audio-based kids program, and through that partnership, we've been introduced to many parents who also are loving Melo and telling us that they're loving Melo. We have the exact right team to bring this idea into fruition. Between my business partner, Cassie Gilmore, and I, we have 16 years of the exact experience that we need to grow and build this company. We met 3 years ago at an education startup, and through our leadership and the leadership of the team around us, we built that company to a $3 million valuation. Cassie's job was to sign school contracts and to train teachers. My job was to implement that curriculum into the classroom. So we've already done what we're setting out to do now for many years. Our ask is $25,000 total in 3 phases. The first 2 phases will happen sort of simultaneously. We want to get in classrooms first to build that credibility and that connection with real teachers and their administrators. At the same time, we're going to use money to strengthen our current curriculum and expand it. And we're going to contract content creators and other student wellness professionals. Third, and this is going to be the heaviest lift, we are going to build that web-based platform, and with that platform, we're going to be able to scale across as many schools as we can get to. It's going to be plug and play. It's going to be an easy, simple interface, kind of like Duolingo, but instead of learning how to speak Spanish, these children are learning how to settle their bodies. So, our vision for the future is a world in which skills like focus and calming your body down and regulating your emotion, those are as common as reading because they are just as important and they're detrimental to the mental health of teachers as well. So, please join us in making teachers' lives just a little bit more mellow. Thank you.
Is this a teacher-driven product or a student-driven product as you talk about the website and building that?
This is a teacher-driven product where a teacher can see a dashboard of their student progress in these specific skills. Can they keep focus for more than 1 minute? Can they calm themselves down before reacting? It's a teacher understanding, are we reaching where we want to be reaching with these skills, treating it like any other subject.
And will this require a significant amount of teacher instruction to use the platform?
Actually, not really at all. That's one of our big selling points, is that it requires no setup. You just gather your kids in a circle, press play, and they complete the exercise. Yep.
What evidence do you have that teachers will actually use it?
Well, I've tried this in my classroom, and the teachers at my school use it all the time. There's also like-minded products out there, like I mentioned, Calm Classroom, that works with dozens of schools across the U.S. So teachers do want this.
And am I right in understanding that you already have some schools signed up for this?
No, not yet, but we have been in a mental health clinic where they've found good results, but we're not yet, we don't have any school curriculum licensing yet.
How did you develop the Yodo partnership, and are there other comparable solutions like that to help you grow?
Right. Well, the Yodo partnership happened pretty organically. We reached out to them, and they said, yes, we'd absolutely love to get you on their platform. We've been reaching out as well, and we're working with other people to get on their platforms as well. Yeah.
And then obviously with your background, it makes sense, but what led you to being completely, licensing and teacher oriented versus direct to consumers and kids and parents?
Yeah, so we have the thought in the back of our head that eventually we might want to get into that consumer market. But right now, I'm a teacher, and we have so much experience in that realm. We think that if we're popular with teachers and in that sphere, that's going to lend us credibility for a consumer market later, possibly with an application in a few years.
Are there any other models that you're significantly considering right now, other than licensing, even if it's like through the teachers, but other just revenue sources?
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't mention this. I would like to implement a freemium model, especially when we get that web-based platform up, so that teachers can use it for a free month, see the effects it has in the classroom, and then we'd ask them to re-up on that subscription. So yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Last but not least, we have Srajit Banerjee and Anushri Modi with Casemach.
Hello everyone, my name is Anushri.
And my name is Srijit, and we're building Casemach.
So before we tell you what we built, let me start with a quick scenario. So imagine you're in your final interview with McKinsey. The partner looks at you and asks, estimate how many golf balls fit in a standard airplane. And you freeze. Not because you haven't prepared, but because you haven't actually practiced this moment under pressure. And this isn't rare, it is a norm. Candidates apply to 100 to 200 roles per cycle. They compete with 150 applicants per position, and yet face a 1% success rate. And this is mainly because case prep today is fundamentally broken. You're practicing from case books which are static and have no feedback loop, and you're practicing with peers who start at very uneven skill levels. But the problem doesn't end there. It also exists on the hiring side, and that's mainly because non-technical recruiters can't assess role fit accurately, screening calls are extremely expensive, and there's no standardized way to evaluate candidates at scale. But the cost of getting that wrong is huge. Companies pay $5,000 per hire, and that's a general industry average. They take 42 days to fill a role, and 74% of employers admit to making a wrong hire. And that is the reason why we built Casemach. Casemach is an AI that runs end-to-end case interviews. For candidates, it simulates that exact pressure moment. So it asks you follow-up questions, it pushes your thinking in real time, and after every interview, it also gives you industry standard feedback. And for hiring, Casemach replaces first-round screening calls and first-round case interviews. So instead of going through that whole manual process, applicants now go through a structured AI interview, get scored on the same rubric, and are automatically ranked. And we also hope to make it fully customizable to every single company so they have their own interview flow. So let's see how Casemach actually simulates an interview with the user for the candidate prep site.
What key trends do you observe in PSG's revenues over time and across business segments, and what is driving the overall decline? Please refer to the image on your screen.
Sure. So, before I dive into the analysis, is the chart on the left just looking at PSG Bank's overall revenue, and the one on the right focuses more on like sector-wise revenue breakdowns?
Yes, that's correct. The chart on the left shows PSG Bank's overall revenue, and the chart on the right provides a breakdown of revenue by segment.
So looking at the tools that are currently available in the market, we have HireView First, which is a hiring site tool. And this is basically a one-way video interview system. But the tool doesn't ask you any follow-up questions, and there's no interaction at all. And for the candidate prep side, we have Rocketblocks and Management Consulted. The Rocketblocks helps you practice self-study drills, but again, it doesn't simulate the actual pressure of an interview. And Management Consulted offers one-on-one coaching services with real consultants, but it's extremely expensive. It's $300 an hour. Casemach is the only affordable AI solution that serves both sides of the interview space, the candidate prep side and hiring side. We launched our candidate prep side tool last month, and we already have 85 total signups, out of which 60 are returning users who've taken multiple interviews. We've also launched 2 campus pilots, one at Davidson and the other at Dartmouth, and our product has also been validated by 10 consultants who are already working in the industry who've used our product. And in Davidson, we've partnered with the Consulting Academy as well as the Career Center, and we are also expanding to other campuses as well.
So our business model has 2 key revenue streams. On the B2C interview prep side, we have a free tier, which gives you 3 free interview credits, and a pro plan, which is $25 a month or $60 annually. And assuming that the average pro plan user takes 8 20-minute interviews in a month, that brings our marginal cost to $16, giving us a 36% contribution margin. And we plan on expanding this product to the B2B side and automate first-round case interviews for consulting firms. Today, according to a 2026 management consulting report, MBB firms spend around $250 to conduct a first-round case interview just based on the salaries that they pay to their mid-level consultants. And we plan on offering these same capabilities at just $50, which is 80% cheaper. And based on our current cost estimates, the marginal cost for a 30-minute candidate screen is just $3. And our vision is to enter a $25,000 paid pilot partnership with a consulting firm that will cover 500 candidate screens. Looking at the market opportunity, the interview prep market today and the AI hiring market both are valued at around $2 billion and will grow to $6 billion and $4 billion respectively in the next 5 years by 2031. Now, if we sort of zoom in and look at more tangible near-term numbers, in a college like Davidson College, which is smaller, we have about 100 students who are realistic about consulting as a career. If we see all of them as paying customers on our platform, that leads to $6,000 in revenue at $60 per customer. And we believe the bigger play is on the hiring side, where one partnership with a consulting firm gives us $25,000 in revenue. And we don't just restrict ourselves to consulting. In our expansion roadmap, we see Casemach as a product that can cover industries like finance, quant, and other industries that have a similar interview dynamic and eventually become a pan-industry tool. Finally, with the $25,000, we want to focus on 3 core areas. The first is the product and AI infrastructure. We want to invest $12,000 into that, focusing primarily on scaling our interview engine. And then we want to invest $5,000 into campus growth, primarily through student ambassadors who will promote our product on their respective campuses, as well as partnerships with consulting firms. And the remaining $8,000 will go into refining our product for the B2B side and making it more robust for a hiring firm to use. And in terms of tangible numbers, we want to hit 1,000 paying users within the next 12 months, translating to $60,000 in revenue, expand to more than 10 college campuses, and close our first B2B partnership at $25,000, which totals at $85,000, which is more than 3 times what we are hoping to raise. And we hope you're excited in joining us on this journey of making interviews smarter with Casemach. Thank you.
Thank you.
So going on to the interviewee side of things, what makes this platform different from, say, me bringing up ChatGPT and saying, hey, test me as an interviewee for this particular company?
Sure. So platforms like ChatGPT and Claude don't control the interview flow. They just go where the user wants to take it. But Casemach actually runs structured case formats. So it has time stages. It'll push your thinking in real time. And it also gives you feedback after every round. And the other thing about it is we also have access to proprietary data, cases which are not currently available in the market. And for the hiring side, we hope to get that from companies as well, which will not be available to any LLM also.
And one other question on the B2B side, which I think is possibly more compelling. for the time-saving metric. What other, I may have missed it, but what other competitive platforms might be out there?
So there's HireView, which conducts one-way video interviews, which is primarily for behavioral interviews. So it's like you get asked a question and then you get time to record your answer. But in terms of actually simulating an end-to-end case interview like in consulting, it won't ask you follow-up questions. And there's no such non-human tool out there that can actually take you from start to finish through an entire consulting interview.
Nothing AI-based currently, right?
So there is a company called Sereno that also works in the AI space, like conducting AI interviews. But in terms of like large-scale competitors that have any sort of market percentage, there's nothing out there at this moment.
I'm really intrigued to understand how you're going to know what the company is looking for. So if you're simulating these mock interviews, how will you make sure that the questions that the candidates being asked are actually ones that are relevant to the company they're about to interview for?
Sure. So we did touch on this a little bit. So when we sort of expand to the hiring side, we want to make the sort of entire interface customizable based on what the companies want. So they'll get to sort of put in their own proprietary question bank data so that they sort of control what type of questions are being asked. And then we also will tweak the sort of evaluation metrics based on what they want to see. And that way we get consistent signals across candidates. And these signals can help companies sort of automate these first-round interviews at scale and also make better hire decisions and keep it consistent across candidates.
So actually, going back to Andrew's question, which is why not start with the companies first?
So doing B2B is obviously challenging. You need a lot of like validation, and our sort of struggle began with our own experiences, and that's why we thought use that first, build some validation, get traction, and then show companies that students can actually benefit from this, and you can also do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you to all those wonderful ventures. We're now going to take about 30 minutes for a brief reception and give our judges time to deliberate. When we return, I'll invite Marion Nisbet up to the stage to say a few words. And then Rebecca Weeks-Watson will present our Entrepreneurial Excellence Award. If you're viewing at home, please tune in again in about 30 minutes. And if you're here, there'll be some refreshments down in the atrium. Please go say hello to the finalists, ask them the questions. And finalists, get to know the audience. Your next customer or partner may be in the room. Thank you.
At the very end, if you will ask finalists and judges to come to the stage.
Okay, I hope everybody enjoyed the refreshments and some great conversations. Before we dive into our awards, we're going to hear a few words from Marion Nisbet. And it's an honor to introduce somebody who so steadfastly supported this program, the Hurt Hub, and Davidson College as we prepare the next generation of students for lives of leadership and service. Through the Nisbet's family's generosity, establishing both the Nisbet Venture Fund and the Nisbet Workshop for Entrepreneurs, Marion and her family have ensured that student and alumni entrepreneurs, like those you heard from tonight, are supported and set up for success. Please join me in welcoming Marion Nisbet to the stage.
I don't know much about this. I'm Marion Nisbet, and I'm pinch hitting for my son, who usually has this job, and he actually came up with the idea of the Venture Fund to honor his father and my husband, who was a student at Davidson and an entrepreneur in Charlotte. And I want to thank Davidson College for implementing this idea of entrepreneurship and amazingly bringing it to this point. Culminating in tonight's exciting pitches and all of those running years before us. This is the 12th year. Now, Liz Brigham is a rock star, and you all know that. Thank you, Liz, for your brilliance and energy, and all of your team, and mentors and judges that have contributed. Thank you, students, for your ideas, your enthusiasm, and your propensity to dream big. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. I'd now like to invite Rebecca Weeks-Watson to the stage. She's a creative development business executive with over 20 years of experience building startups and teaching innovation. She's really been instrumental to the Nisbet Venture Fund process as she helped lead all of our finalists through 4 preparation sessions aimed at refining their business ideas and helping them get ready for tonight. She also leads our Building a Lean Startup course and serves as a regular mentor for student entrepreneurs. Please join me in welcoming Rebecca Weeks-Watson to present this year's Excellence in Entrepreneurship Award.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you to the Nisbet family. This is the most special time of the year, as Liz and people have said about it. It's like the Super Bowl, right? So tonight is really special. I want to thank the Hurt Hub team, everybody that I've been working with on the course, on the instructional sessions. It's such a joy to teach, and I will tell you, when we think about excellence in entrepreneurship, it's curiosity, it's the ideation, the experimentation, the intellectual curiosity, but also the bias to action. And when we think about this award, and I'm sitting there going, gosh, we have so many choices. This person is this, and this person has this trait, and they've done this. They all are qualified. And so it's a really hard choice. And also, every time I drive home from this event and talk to my kids and my husband, I'm always like, this was the best cohort. And they're like, you say that every year. And really, I feel that way. It's an honor to recognize a student from Davidson in this cohort who truly exemplifies the excellence in both preparation and curiosity. In the weeks leading up to this event, which Andrew just shared, we've had these instructional sessions, and it has not been easy to fit it into all the other courses that these full-time students are taking, that alumni you've heard, right? Talk about they have full-time jobs. And so it's incredible type of commitment that these students show up for these courses. Also, this particular student that is winning the Excellence Award showed up to meet with the mentor, and between the sessions with the mentor, continued to refine and push that product thinking to meet with potential customers and ask those questions about why. Just like Liz started off tonight talking about why not, how come, and all those various questions that lead to successful businesses. Two things stood out with this particular participant. First is the serious commitment that I just described, constantly asking potential customers directly, not just relying on stats, to learn more about the target market, to learn more about what's not working in the field. Asking all of those great questions in customer discovery. And then second, what really stood out was the continuous refinement, working with that mentor, getting out of that comfort zone and pushing himself and demonstrating remarkable maturity according to the mentor. These traits epitomize the standard of curiosity, discipline, and bias to action that we constantly try to instill at the Hurt Hub. So I'm incredibly proud to recognize Dongju An as our Entrepreneurial Excellence winner. So I had opened up the envelope earlier. Aqualux, congratulations, Dongju. Do you want him on the stage? Yeah? Yay.
We're now going to hear from Juan Garzón, who's representing the Incubation judges, as we hear their thoughts on the finalists, and we get to know who the winner of the $5,000 is.
All right, thank you, Andrew, and thank you to everybody who has been a part of making this event happen. It really is always an amazing opportunity to come here and hear some really wonderful Davidson students and the businesses that they're building. I get to hear lots of different entrepreneurs pitch at different stages, at different levels, and we were really blown away by some of these founders. I think we were back in the room with the judges deliberating and asking about, this student and that student, and someone was talking about how many of them were freshmen, and we were just absolutely blown away. So great job to everybody. Really made our jobs hard to look at each element and say, all right, how are we going to find one company to represent sort of this cohort and be the incubation track winner. So a difficult job for us, but great job by all of the founders. And with that, we're going to go ahead and announce the winner of this year's incubation track, and it is Align Stabilization.
And last but not least, Christina Wilson, the representative of the acceleration judges, will let us know who the winner of the $25,000 equity investment is.
Well, I'm going to echo what everyone else has said, that it is really, really challenging, but in the best way. The innovation shown here tonight is remarkable, and it's just so exciting for everything in store. It was definitely a tough and really, really engaging conversation we had in the deliberation room, and I think kind of going back to basics, something that all founders should be doing is constantly be asking themselves, if I'm just the client, how much would I pay for this? If I'm the client, what do I want? Always putting yourself in those shoes, and in our case, we really had to ask ourselves, if I were writing this check, who would I write it to? And that really helped give us some clarity. So I'm really, really excited. The winner that we chose tonight really excelled in a clear problem, a clear solution, and a just remarkable amount of traction for the stage that they are. And this year's winner is Dermalytics.
Before we close, I do want to say I was talking to a couple of the finalists during the reception, and I just want to acknowledge, I think everybody who took the stage is a winner, because entrepreneurship is this really special thing where you recognize your own agency in the world. You see a problem, and you don't just sit there and succumb to it. You realize, I have agency, and I can go and make this world a better place. And everybody who took the stage, that's exactly what they're doing. So thank you to the finalists who shared their time and talents with us tonight. Before we formally close out, I am going to ask all the finalists and judges to stay for a brief photo, so please come to the front and come up on stage. And again, I just want to congratulate all the teams that participated tonight. And on behalf of the Hurt Hub and the whole Davidson College, thank you for spending this evening with us, all of you who joined online and with us in person. I believe there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur, and I can't wait for next year. Thank you.